Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to it, the very first one of 2020. Happy New Year's, guys. I hope you had a super time. I hope you got to relax. I certainly did. I had a busy year last year traveling, got back on the 24th of December, and I've been home since. And it's been super nice to be home here in Florida. Weather's always good here, even though it's winter, sun is still shining. But it's been really nice to do some things that I don't usually get the time to do, and to relax. So it's given me a lot of time as well to think about the year ahead. It's also given me a lot of time to reflect on 2019, on the previous year. You know, what I achieved, what I could have done better, what I want to change in myself. This is what Champion Minded is all about. It's about an everyday goal of getting better, for example. But here we are, the very first week of January, and it's a time when people set their goals, set their ambitions for the year, and everybody gets caught up in the excitement of talking about it. I've already spoken to some people that want to run their first marathons, people that want to even climb Kilimanjaro, for example, or do desert hikes, all these things, skydiving, you name it, all these things on the bucket list or the goals for the new year. But here's the thing, guys. And this is the point of this podcast, is nothing changes unless you do. You know, a new year is not going to change you. You have to take those steps, and you have to, the big word, commit to what you said you're going to do in the first place. And I'm going to be giving you some tips here in this podcast, in this New Year's podcast, of how to stick to those things you're going to commit to. You know, here's something very interesting. Do you know how many people actually keep their New Year's resolutions? Okay? Any idea? 12%. That's how many keep their New Year's resolutions. Here's a funny stat. By the second week of January, 37% are still keeping their New Year's resolutions. By March, that drops down to 22%, and then by June, 12%. Unbelievable, guys. So why is that? Why is it so difficult for people to keep their New Year's resolutions and goals? Well, here's the thing. There's no difference between the 1st of January and the 15th of September. It's another day, for example. So, we get caught up in that excitement. We're going to start a new year on a great foot, for example. But, as you just heard by those stats now, you got 22% by March and 12% by June that are still sticking to their goals. It's crazy, but where does it come from? It comes from discipline. It comes from committing yourself to what you said you were going to do in the first place. I find a lot of people set goals that are unrealistic. Now, it's great to set big goals. I get it. But you have to start small. That's always been one of the things that I've tried, especially when writing books or doing podcasts or working on a new project, for example, is I start small and then I grow from there. In my new book coming out, actually, hopefully the end of this month, the last bits of edits are always very unpredictable of how quick that's going to be. I talk about the fact that it takes 90 days. I believe it takes 90 days to build a habit, and it takes 9 days to lose it. All right. So, if you're able to get past March and what you said you were going to do in the first place of setting your goal, let's just say it was a marathon, for example. If you've got past that March stage, that 90-day stage, there's a good chance that you're going to reach that goal. Okay? A lot of people get derailed by their goals because of setbacks. If it's in an athletic adventure or a goal, they get injured and then, things go down the tubes from there and they don't get back to training, or they think to themselves, it's all a waste now, for example, or goals in your business or goals in your relationships, for example. It's so important, and I'm going to share with you the 5 areas that I set goals in, okay? All right, so here are those 5 areas that I really focus on. You can call them 5 buckets if you like, each year where I set goals or targets. My first one is spiritual. And I'm not a very religious person. I like to keep those things to myself, and I don't judge either. It doesn't matter what you are, Buddhist, Christian, Catholic, Jewish, whatever it may be. The most important thing for me is, are you a good person? And something I've been really working on, and I believe it should be a lifelong goal of every single human being, is, are you becoming a better person every day? And that's what Champion Minded is about as well, is, are you working on yourself daily? So for when I talk about spiritual, for me, it's more quiet time. It's, investing in myself from a more quieter point of view. So one very, very simple thing I've done daily is I take a 20-minute, I like to call it gratitude walk, where I don't take my phone. I just spend time in gratitude and in peace. And I usually either walk somewhere very quiet or around a lake, which is pretty close to my home here. And I just try and not think about things. And for me, that's a spiritual connection, for example. So whatever that may be, is daily spend some time in your spiritual connection. It might be reading the Bible. It might be listening to a podcast, whatever it may be, something that puts you in that right frame of mind, your foundation, for example. Number 2 are relationships. Now, in 2019, I really, really did make a bigger effort in spending time on growing and building relationships. And I'm happy to say that I achieved that. And, growing some more friends and getting to know a lot more people, especially with a lot of traveling, so on and so forth. It's hard to really connect with. You meet a lot of people, but to connect and spend time with them is difficult, because you're here 1 week, then you're gone for 2 weeks, etc. So for me this year, for example, I joined the Liverpool Supporters Club up here in West Palm Beach. I joined a beach tennis group, and I've just built these groups of new friends and connections, also in business as well. And I can tell you guys, it is one of the best things you can do for yourself, is grow your relationships. And relationships also covers your family. The amount of quality time you're spending with your family, that is so, so important. I mean, family should be number 1 priority, is taking care of those that you love the most. Okay? Number 3 is your career, investing in your career. And for me, 2020, I've got some new goals. I obviously want to continue working on this podcast, making it better, and that's why I appreciate all your guys' feedback, which I get. What do you want to hear more of? Leave a comment for me. I'm on social media. I love to hear your feedback. But investing and growing, I want to learn more about leadership, about culture, about emotional intelligence, all these things that I love to pass on through my line of work, which is obviously speaking and writing. So I'm in a daily growth mindset. I'm intentional in investing myself daily through reading, through listening to podcasts, and connecting with other people in the industry, for example. So where are you going to invest in your career? Number 4, which probably should be number 1, and guys, these are in no particular order, is your health. How are you taking care of yourself? Because here's the thing, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others. If you guys have heard me speak on leadership, you would have heard that a million times. You cannot lead others effectively if you're not leading yourself first. So are you taking care of your health? How much time are you putting aside per day to do some exercise? And again, it can be 20 minutes. It can be a walk, for example. I make sure, even though I have sometimes a crazy schedule, that I at least make time for 20 minutes per day. And sometimes it's first thing in the morning, because you never know where that day is going to go. Have a morning routine, guys. I speak about that a lot on the podcast, is the importance of having that time to yourself in the morning and having a routine, priming your mind and your body. Maybe that's something you're going to look at for the new year, is setting a morning routine that you're going to stay disciplined to and committed to. And again, my advice, don't make it a long one, or don't make it too complicated. Even if it starts with 30 minutes a day, you get up 30 minutes earlier and you commit to reading or spending some time in spirituality or doing some exercise, perfect. Okay? Listen, those who love you the most want you to take care of yourself. It's as simple as that. It's not being selfish. Number 5 in the 5 buckets that I set goals in is financial. And obviously that's an area where you get to a particular stage in your life, is that you want to become more and more financially secure. I mean, obviously, life is short, guys. I mean, here I am in my 40s. It's just gone super fast. I still think I'm 25 sometimes. I still have that mindset. But, set aside goals, or set aside some money per month, for example, whatever it may be, 5%, 10% into a savings account. Have financial goals, which are very important. So those are the 5 things. Number 1, spiritual. Number 2, relationships. Number 3, my career. Number 4, health. And number 5, financial. Maybe those are 5 areas that you can sit down and set some goals for yourself. Listen, your ability to grow always depends on your willingness to change. And again, as I said in the start, nothing changes unless you change. Talk is cheap. We look at the New Year's resolutions, all this talk and all this vibe and hysteria, and then nothing happens after that. I encourage you this year, 2020 is the year you commit. It's not going to be easy, especially in the tougher times. You have to push through, build that resilience, build that grit through the tougher times, for example. Okay? But stay committed. So I get often asked, well, how do I stay committed? I always have these good intentions setting out, but what are the best ways to stick to my goals? Well, here's 4 things I do to stick to my goals and to stick to my challenges. Is number 1, I write them down. Okay? I keep a journal, I write my goals, and I write my ambitions down. And I keep that journal so I'm able to monitor myself to see where my progress is. But I really make sure that I write them down. I also keep them on my phone as well. Sometimes I'll have them on the screensaver on my phone, are my goals for the year. Number 2, I tell others about my goals. And it's not to brag or to say, look at me, because I haven't achieved anything yet. It's to make me... it's almost like to push me a little bit more, because I've told others about my goals and now I have to do it. I have to back it up. So that's worked for me. Some people say, no, I like to keep the goals to myself. I don't want to tell other people. Well, that helps me. They keep me accountable. Find what I call as an accountable group of people who check up on you and say, hey, how's it going with those goals you set for the new year? What's happening? Right? It puts you under a little bit of pressure, which is good. We talk about staying uncomfortable. Well, others need to hold you accountable as well. So to stay uncomfortable. Number 3, I see my goals daily. I have them written down. So for example, I'm doing this podcast in my office at home, and I have my goals and I have my things written down. So for example, for my next book, I have that up on the wall. For my health goals, I have that up on the wall. A great way to stick to your goals or habits, building new habits, remember we spoke about the 90 days of your habits, is to see them, is to have visual clues, right? So little stick-it notes on your office desk, or on your lamp, or on your, when you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you've got stick-it notes on your mirror where you see your goals every single day. You're reminded of them. And number 4, I set short-term goals along the way, mini goals if you want, which keeps me motivated. I reach small targets along the way, and that's how I stay motivated. But those are 4 ways to stick to your goals. Write them down. Number 2, tell others. Number 3, see them daily. And number 4, set short-term goals along the way. Last but not least, guys, I want to share with you something I do each year as well, and is that I have 2 words. In 2019, my 2 words were relationships and energy. And I told you just a little bit earlier that I worked on building more relationships and more connections in 2019, which I obviously still want to do in this year. And my other one was energy. And energy comes down to my health. And of course, those are 2 things I want to keep going in 2020. But I really focused on those 2 areas in 2019. In 2020, my 2 words, and I'm happy to share them with you. Number 1 is joy. Is to find more joy. To find more joy in the moments. Not always to be pushing ahead, which that is something I've struggled with in the past, is always never letting myself enjoy moments. I finish a race, a marathon, or I finish a book or whatever it may be, and I just don't take the time to enjoy the moment. I'm always on to the next thing. Life is short. Laugh more, love more, live more. experience more joy. So that's one of my words for this year, 2020. My second word for this year is impact. And the word impact has a lot to do with my purpose, my greater purpose in life. And that is to impact and inspire as many people as possible. So I'd love to impact more. I'd love to reach more. That's why I love doing this podcast, writing books, is to reach more people, to spread the word of, the champion-minded mindset, of kindness, of empathy, of having a great attitude towards life, because that's going to get you way, way further. So those are the two words I have for this year: is impact, which is obviously through my purpose and my line of work, and number two, to experience more joy. So guys, again, nothing will change unless you do. You've got to set your targets, you've got to set your goals, write them down. Maybe those two words that I've just mentioned might help you as well. See them every day. But again, a new year is not going to change you. You have to take those steps. And I encourage you, I believe in you, you can do this. Remember, I start with small goals. I make them achievable. I make them reachable. That motivates me to carry that momentum on. So 2020, new year, nothing changes unless you do, guys. Okay? You got this. As always, thanks so much for tuning in to the Champion Minded podcast. Remember, it's on YouTube and on iTunes. Connect with me on social media on Facebook, Allistair McCall page, Twitter at Allistair McCall, and on Instagram, Be Champion Minded. So until next time, stay champion minded.